So now Python actually it deals with a lot of things actually, as you are saying, right? Even doctors are recommended to learn Python, even genetic engineering people, and even many people, because Python is very much useful in analytics actually, even in data science also. It is useful for both data engineers as well as data scientists actually. Actually, when I talk technically, the part which you are trying to do is a data science job. Actually, you are saying that analyze something and give the some predictions and doing all sorts of things, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
And if you are you are actually, in a way, you are along with the genetic engineering, you are doing some a data scientist job actually. And there is one more job actually, data engineer actually. Many people has a confusion between data engineer and data scientist. Scientist actually he do the analysis part. Data engineer, what he does is he will get the data, process the data, and dump that into data. That's the responsibility of data engineer. All the different forms of
okay.
data, structured, unstructured, semi-structured data is there, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
All that junk data he will convert it to structured form and put it into the database and just dump it and give it to the forward it to data scientist, and that data scientist will do some analysis. You got clarity here, right? But to do
Ah, yes,
all these sorts of things, Python is required. That is what my point here. Why I'm talking about all this is, if you want to go and do some analysis, you told R language. Actually, earlier people used to recommend to go for R. R has more importance and Python has less importance. Even now,
yes, yes.
when you talk about nowadays, the Python usage is 80% and the R language become 20% in the market. You understand that?
Yeah, yes, yes. Actually, I agree with that. Yes.
Actually, even when I talk from real time perspective, because I would be interacting with a lot of real time guys, even the guy who even uh, trains, even I talk to such people also. Then what's happening in the market, when I ask them what exactly is happening in the software, they say that 80% is what is Python and 20% are actually. So, and coming back to this database point, when you are dealing with so
Yes.
much of data, when you are trying to process it, and you should have an idea, minimum idea, how to work with the database first. How to connect to a database and how to
Yeah,
process, process
yes,
that
yes.
data. All that you should know actually. So what I do is, because you are saying that you are from genetic background, I'll just start from the very scratch. Do you have any idea about SQL, all that?
No, not much, but actually, I just have read it somewhere. It's like relational database and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll do one thing. I'll make you comfortable with database point part first. Later on, I'll show you how to connect to database from Python, through Python, and do some sorts of querying. Okay, at least that gives you an awareness to you. Maybe sometime later it might be helpful for you. Okay.
Yeah, sure, sure.
So when you talk about data, what is that actually? Database, database is nothing but it's collection of tables. Collection of what? Tables. So a lot of tables, like employee, like student, like maybe like doctor, like a patient, like all this medicine. Even medicine is also a table actually. Everything is a table actually, and that has some fields. Name, some gender, some age, something like that. All these are fields actually. So when you say database is collection of tables, table is collection of it's collection of calls. Okay. And column is a actually a field, a single field. That's what call is all about. Okay. So this is simple enough. Call is a field. Okay. You got it right, Likit. So
Yeah, I
suppose
got
it's like this. Let me give you a diagrammatic analysis. So suppose this is a database. Okay. Assume that Generally, database diagrams looks a bit like this. This is a database. Inside this database, you have some tables, a number of tables, so many tables. Okay, something like this. And inside table again, you have some columns. Every table has some columns like this. I'm just giving you a brief idea. That's all. You may have more than one column also, not just okay, just one or two columns. You can sometimes some tables have even hundreds of columns also. For example, you are saying you have 200 GB of data. Sometimes a master table might have hundreds of columns actually. You got it right. So that's what the database look like. It's collection of tables. Table has collection of columns, all sorts of things. Actually, that's what This is Likit. You understand that? So that's fine. Then suppose you have a database here. So this is something like this. It looks something like this. So you have a database here. In this database, you have some tables. Now you need to perform certain operations, like what are those operations? Something like creating. Generally, on this database, generally we perform two types of operations. What are those two types of operations? Something we call it as DDL and DML operations. These are the basic operations. Of course, there are a few more like DCL and something like that. But still, let's focus on DDL and DML actually here, how it works actually. So if you want to, work with any database, first you should have an idea about something called SQL actually. More than these two, you should know about SQL. SQL means structured query language. And this SQL is of two types, one DDL, two DML. Okay. DDL means data definition language. This is a data definition language. DML means data manipulation language. We'll talk about it, nothing to worry. But this is what Likit. Okay. What I do is I'll explain you the basic commands, whichever is necessary to write some basic queries after connecting to database using Python. Generally, here I am going to use MySQL first. I am going to show you all these examples. MySQL database. Maybe if you want, I'll just show you a simple example with Oracle also. And it's almost the process is same for the other databases. But I'll tell you there will be certain packages you need to import that might change. But apart from that, the way you write the query, almost everything will be almost same. Here and there, small changes might be there, but almost it will be same. Okay, you got it right. So this is what database is about and what language we need to use to perform operations on database. So if I should do any operation on a database, then I should have DDL and DML both. You understand that? So that is part of SQL actually, structured query language, which generally used to perform basic DDL and DML operations. Means data definition means something like related to schema of a table, like creating table, creating columns. That's what DDL is. Data definition. Definition means defining columns of table, data types of table. All that belongs to DDL. DML means it's more of like once table is ready, doing some insertion, update, delete, also that sorts and selection also of course, retrieving data from the table. Technically, we call this for as CRUD operations or CURD operations or SCUD operations. And generally, to perform all these operations, then we use something called DML, data manipulation language. You understand that, Nikhil? So that's it. Anyhow, I'll give some brief basic analysis. I'll just explain these commands. Maybe if you, later on, maybe you can decide. So that's simple idea about what is that, what is database, and how do we, what is that, what is the language used to perform some operations on database, what is DDL, what is DML. I hope you got some idea here. If you have any questions, you can always shoot them. But now going back to this now, there are so many databases in the market. For example, so many examples are there. Something like MySQL and Oracle and SQL Server. So many are there, which are generally very popular. Now these are very popular. Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, and Sybase. There are so many. DB2, which is belonging to IBM, and I put dot dot dot. Many, at least what, some 10 or more than 10 databases exist in the market, and the popular are these actually: DB2, SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL. All these are popular. And now the question is, what are the commands we should know at least to perform basic SQL operations? Because without knowing this, it's difficult for you to understand this database connectivity. What is that actually? Why do we need all that? To understand that, minimum understanding or basic understanding of this SQL is necessary for anyone. That's important. If you are already having an idea, it's fine. If not, I'll just explain the basic commands. I'm going to explain about the DDL commands. That is, in DDL generally we have create, alter, drop. We have these commands. In DML actually we have insert, update, deleted. We have these commands actually in DML. You understand this, Mr. Likit? Are you following, Likit? You there? So now, it's very simple actually. Okay, maybe if you want to connect it to any database, first make sure you install that database in your machine. If you want me to show, I'll show you. Okay, that is very much necessary. Then only you can work with this Python database connectivity. You understand that, right? Actually, Python provides certain modules which acts as interface between your database and your Python program itself. But if you want to implement database connectivity with Python, prior to that, at least one database must exist, which is of your choice. Generally, in real time, people use either Oracle or SQL Server. Those are most popular. Sometimes for small projects, people might use MySQL also. That's also fine. Okay. So now, let me just explain these commands and show you how to work with them in a database. Okay. But before that, what I suggest is, if you, before working with all these commands, make sure you install the basic database actually. That is at least MySQL. You can get it from this website. The website name is MySQL. You just type here MySQL enough. Okay, maybe you can say download MySQL database. Similarly, you can download Oracle also if you want. Okay, download whatever the database you want. Something went wrong. It will come actually. Wait a minute. Now you have so many here. You just need to go and just check what is that. Click on this GPL actually. Community edition. That's enough for us. Can you see it now? There are so many actually. Don't need this actually. Don't need all this. MySQL database. Sorry, not Oracle. Download for Windows actually. I'm sorry. This is what I need actually. SQL installer. I'm looking for this, not actually the other stuff. Choose this actually. Yeah, it's coming actually. Wait a minute. Now you see here that MSI installer. You just download it whenever you are practicing. Like it, you just download this. No, you see this actually. It's showing actually 32. You can choose any one here actually. The first one or second one, I think is fine actually. I think recommend the second one actually. So this 233 MB recommend for second one rather than first one. You can select your operating systems here also, showing a drop down actually. This is generally exclusively for Windows. Might be you can choose other operating systems also. That's also possible. Anyhow, you can download. Just click on download here. It will download automatically. You don't need to do anything. This you can choose this. You don't need to log in or something. You just simply say that no chance, no thanks. Just start download. Then that software automatically download. Then you just need to double click on that. Just you need to enter password root actually. That's all. You don't need to do anything. And this is already installed my machine in my machine, so I am not trying to install again. Okay. But what you have to do is just click on that, double click, next. It will ask you for password. Just enter root itself enough. Otherwise, choose whatever the password you want. Root is generally it's fine. And by default, username of this MySQL is always root. Default thing is username, and password is your choice. But username, when somebody asks you about username, always try to provide root itself. And password thing, no need to worry. Once it's showing actually 3 hours left actually. We don't need that. I'm canceling this. But I had just shown you how to download, because sometime later when you are practicing, if you just want to see how to download, then this video might help you. That's why I'm trying to explain this. So I don't need to explain how to double click and say next. Do you think it's necessary, Likit? You can do it right from here. Anything is fun. Yeah, you can do with Linux also. Okay. I think in Linux, MySQL will automatically come, I hope. Anyhow, I'll just show you now. So when you install your software, you get this is query browser. This is an interface for us, and it's showing username root here. Password is root. I just enter that. Click on enter, and you have all this. These are all actually databases. This is a server. In a database server, we can have multiple databases actually, not one database. You can create as many databases as possible, and in every database you can have multiple tables here. Can you see? And stored procedures, all that. Okay, and every table has some fields here. You can say ID, name, salary, something like this. Maybe if you want to run from command line, it looks like this. Can you see? The command line look like this. You can enter, click on this. You get a black screen here. Just enter password, say root, enter. You are connected to MySQL. But here you have to choose a database. If not, you have to create a database. Create database, some Python. I'm just naming a semicolon, enter. Now I had created Python. Then you say use Python. Means I am in SQL, MySQL. You should use Python. Then database is selected. You might have a number of databases, but when you say use some database, that particular database is selected. Not all the databases. You understand that? Now here you should create some tables. I'll just tell you how to do that step by step here. So this is the first thing actually. how to download, how to install all that in Windows actually. Maybe you can do in Linux. I think it will come with the OS itself, but still you can check it once. That's not a problem. Now next thing is how to create a table. Next topic is creating a table. Anywhere, first thing you have to always do is creating tables. Once your database is created, then we should start creating a table. Okay. And now what is the point here? How to create table? We should know the syntax. For that, I should use a DDL command called create itself. So use create command, and the syntax is very simple. Suppose I want to create a table for employee. Okay, then first you should figure out all the columns: employee number, employee name, employee salary, okay, age, all that. Generally, employee number, all these things must be declared as an int data type. There are certain things called data types in databases. Actually, it's so simple to follow. Int is used to define something in numbers without fractions actually, like number. Okay, all numbers without fractions. Employee number. Okay, employee ID, student ID. Okay, or book ID. Such things generally we define with the integer. So use it here. There might be sometimes small changes from database to database. If I use it here, some databases uses integers like that. You don't need to worry about it. To define name, we should use a data type called varchar. And sal is something decimal type, so we should use a data type called either float or double. Anything is fine. Okay, you can choose double or you can choose float. That's your choice. Click it. So now I want to create a table with all these columns. First, let me give the syntax first. Then I'll give the example for you. How to create a table with some columns. The syntax is create a table name inside this col1 space. What is that? Our field one, anything is fine. Data type. You should specify this data type because what type of value you are going to store into that table, that you must specify Mr. Field with. Comma call to space data type, comma dot semicolon. That's it. Suppose the example is this. I want to create a table for employee. Then how do I create it? You can do like this. How create table employee or AMP, anything is fine. Like it. Employee number space in comma e name space where care of some 30. Why I put 30? Because my name can be 10 characters or 20 characters, sometimes very lengthy name 30 characters. So that's why I give the size 30, so that based on your requirement you can choose how many number of characters you want. See, if size is more, nothing happens, but if size is less, then there is a problem. So that's why give the size a bit more than required. Okay, got it right. Suppose you require 10 characters, make it 20, nothing wrong. Because later on, if you want to again make changes, it's all headache process. So that's why what I suggest is if your size is a bit more, that's fine, no issues. Next one, sal, okay, double semicolon. We are done actually. This is how we should create a table. And make sure this is called query. You terminate your query with semicolon at the end. Okay. I will copy this code actually. How to run it actually? Let me show you. Open your command prompt anywhere here. Not this actually. Command line, not command prompt. How do you open command line? I had just shown you. Now you run the query from here. So copy it from here. Show the query I wrote. happened to this? Generally, we can copy this. Control C. Click is not working. Paste. Somehow it is not working. It's fine, no issues. I'll type it up. Create a table employee number int comma name varchar of some 30 comma sal some can give anything of your choice, something like double, close it and put semicolon and make this as this employee number as a primary key. Primary key means it makes your employee number unique and not null. Unique means you can't have duplicate values. Not null means you must enter a value. That's what it means. And press enter. It's showing table is created. Suppose you want to check the schema of table. Check what? Next one. Displaying schema of table. Then it looks like this. You have to use a command describe and then you have to say table name. So that's it. You come here, say describe employee, and you can see there what happened now. You can see three columns are created: employee number, name and salary, and one is int and the other one is varchar, the third one is double, and you can see all that stuff there. That's called metadata actually. Once you create a table, you can find what data types it's having and whether it is null or not, and do you have any primary keys. All that you can examine. That's what we call metadata. Do you understand this linkage so far? Okay. Then you should insert and then update and then you have to do all of the remaining operations. So we should learn all this, at least basic crude operations. Then I'll tell you how to work with Python, how to connect to database from Python. That's what the next topic is. This is what actually the basic code. Anyhow, I'll show you from the scratch. You don't need to copy and paste all this stuff. Okay. Likit, are you good so far with this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll stop here, Likit. Actually, okay, there is a small work I should do again now. Tomorrow you come by 9:30 if you are free actually. Otherwise you can come by 9 o'clock also. Or if you are free anytime in the evening around 4 o'clock or you know that's also fine. When would you be free? 1